Another video about May. I didn't plan to make more of these, but I love this game so much, and I found something neat about May's new command grab that I want to share. Even though I'm focusing on overhead kiss, don't ignore the other stuff in the patch notes. Far slash and crouching slash have definitely been nerfed. It's nothing severe, but I seriously used to just mash these moves out there all the time and it worked out quite well. Not anymore. They're still good poking tools, but do be more cautious about their use from now on. Also worth noting, standing heavy got a pretty nutty buff. The recovery frames are way faster now, it's kind of ridiculous. And the active frames got slightly extended too. If you randomly throw this out there every now and then, you have a halfway decent chance at catching your opponent trying to poke you from long range. Don't get careless now, some of the crazier attacks, like several of Nagoriyuki's sword swings, can go right through. But if you know your opponent's character well and you space yourself out accordingly, then this is a fairly safe tool that you can, again, just throw out there randomly now and then. It still has a good amount of startup frames though, so don't use this when you're too up close. Okay, now for what we're all here for. I think most people would consider this change a nerf, and they're not wrong. Two things have been altered: the overall damage and the distance the opponent is thrown. Overhead kiss already reduced your damage a bit, but now that's been taken even further. I think they did this because overhead kiss is such an easy combo starter, and they don't want to reward players for using the easy route. I get it, I can respect that. For example, getting overhead kiss in the corner leads to the same meterless combo as getting a forward heavy counter hit in the corner, but the latter is typically harder and more situational to pull off. So yeah, the damage reduction sucks, but I can see where they're coming from. The other change, the throw distance, is arguably even more drastic. It is now way harder to get a wall bounce off of overhead kiss. The throw has to really be in the corner now. This isn't too much of a deal breaker, but it is important to keep in mind. Now, what can we do with this new stuff? Well, as the patch notes state, it is now possible to follow up after overhead kiss from mid-screen. They're not lying when they say that, but it is a little misleading. Don't expect much out of this. About the best you can do is crouching slash and then slash dolphin. After you land the slash dolphin, you can do a vertical red Roman cancel and continue with the juggle combo that I explained in the previous video. Your general combo route for overhead kiss hasn't changed all that much, except for the fact that it is way weaker than it used to be, but it is much easier to get a wall break now since you're adding 2 additional hits and carrying the opponent further across the stage. So that's a little bit of a trade-off. Lower damage in exchange for greater carry potential. Okay, on to the fun stuff. After overhead kiss, do a standing heavy and then immediately slash dolphin. May will land directly in front of their opponent in an instant. This is an extremely fast wake-up situation upon which multiple options become available to both you and your opponent. And there isn't really time to think about it. The two of you just need to decide immediately and act. And one of the things you can do is follow up with another command grab and repeat the process, looping one command grab into the other until you reach the corner of the stage and then you get a wall break. I'll detail how to pull this off first, and then we'll look into other possibilities. Start with overhead kiss, of course, and hold back the entire time. As soon as you land, hit the heavy slash button. This is going to take a good amount of practice to get the timing down, but it's totally doable to do this consistently. You just gotta hit heavy slash the moment you land. Now, it only gets more difficult. Wait for the heavy slash attack to actually land on your opponent. You'll know you did it because both characters will freeze for just a brief second. At that point, hit forward slash to summon Mr. Dolphin. Again, make sure to wait for the heavy slash to land first. It can be easy to attempt to call Mr. Dolphin early, and then nothing happens. Right when May hops off Mr. Dolphin, initiate the command grab to restart the loop. For this, it's all about proper timing, and it can vary from character to character. Ino and Faust, for example, the timing might be just a little bit off. Keep practicing, try it against a variety of characters, and you should get it in time. As for the options and possible routes, this is where things get messy. Unfortunately, none of this is very safe for Mei. She's putting herself in danger here, and ultimately, you're relying on your opponent to be unfamiliar with the situation and panic due to the sudden speed that everything occurs. It also helps if you stay unpredictable. If you vary your follow-ups here and there, instead of always going for the command grab loop, then your opponent will have a harder time. For the most part, no attacks on wake-up should work in a realistic scenario. If you go into training to set this up, you'll see that you can beat Nagoriyuki's crouching punch, which has a startup of 6 frames. But his standing punch at 5 frames seems impossible to overcome. That said, however, this is assuming that the opposing player can land the button press perfectly. Whether they're mashing punch or trying to time it precisely, this might be unrealistic to achieve even half the time. I would be more wary doing this against Giovanna, Chip, and Soul, as those 3 characters have the fastest normals in the entire game, but everyone else can't go faster than 5 frames no matter what. This is all mostly theoretical, of course, but against the vast majority of wake-up attacks, Overhead Kiss will win. This includes some of the more popular invincible reversal options, such as Volcanic Viper, Vapor Thrust, and Eisenstorm. All of these are very vulnerable to any grab on wake up. On the other hand, the majority of reversal super moves do bypass grabs.
I'm sorry.
However, I would argue that it's already tough to input a reversal super move on wake up, and this situation only doubly so. Everything happens so fast. I don't think this is something you would need to worry about, but do bear it in mind all the same. Now, like I said, the vast majority of wake-up attacks will lose, but there are notable exceptions. Axel's Rainwater puts him in the air immediately, making it so that's no good. Hilariously, the best character equipped to deal with this setup is Mei herself. It's very easy to do reversal dolphins, and every version is invulnerable to grabs. Mei's forward kick also works surprisingly well too, as it puts her airborne right away. Melia has a similar attack, but she's not granted the same privilege. The point I want to make is that, for the vast majority of characters and situations, they're at a disadvantage if they try to press buttons. As such, they would be better off walking backwards, backdashing, or jumping, all of which will work, and that's when you know you've got them scared and questioning their actions. Once you've gotten a handle on your opponent's mentality and how they plan to avoid your setups, then you can really mess with them and make it feel like you have them all figured out. There are also characters with awkward hitboxes and timings. I already mentioned Ino and Faust, but Potemkin is an especially weird case. I never expected this to be a problem with him, but yeah, apparently he falls just outside the range of the standing heavy. It's still possible to land, but it's way more annoying. You have to get the timing just right. Regardless, even considering the timing, I still wouldn't recommend this anyway, just because the danger of Potemkin Buster is far too great. But hey, if you're feeling especially bold, go ahead and do this setup and then jump immediately, and you might get a counter hit off of a missed Potemkin Buster. Or you end up blocking his Heat Knuckle or something. It's all 50-50, you know? That's why I want to emphasize again that this is a pretty risky setup that relies on your opponent's unfamiliarity and their tendency to panic. The footage I'm showing here is against all Celestial Floor opponents, although honestly, they kind of let anyone in here. I mean, I got in somehow, so take that with a grain of salt. This isn't going to work as well against anyone who's really good, but even against the best players, you are forcing them to guess in an instant, which is a pretty uncomfortable spot to be in. I say, give this a try, have some fun with it, see where it goes. It's not going to make all the difference in the world, but it is a neat option to have in your back pocket. If nothing else, if you're struggling to get into Celestial, this might be that goofy little trick that gets you in. Thanks for watching. Keep practicing and good luck.
Shall we fish? Victory!
May wins.